Hello and welcome to Business Matters, the show about people behind businesses that help make Tacoma a great place to live and work. I'm your host, Mike Work, and today we have a very special set of guests in that instead of a CEO, we have Calvin Goings, who's the Regional Administrator for the Small Business Administration, who actually provides all kinds of supports for businesses in our region. And joining him is Darrel Bowman, CEO of mynetworkcompany.com, who's also going to talk about the great things that the SBA can do locally. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Calvin, let's start with you. The Small Business Administration, I know what it is, probably many of our viewers do, but in case they don't, what is the SBA?
Well, the SBA stands for the Small Business Administration, and we're a U.S. agency really devoted and focused on helping small businesses start, grow, and succeed. And we do that here in Tacoma and across the Northwest in the nation by really focusing on what we like to call the 3 C's.
Okay, 3 C's.
Capital, helping finance small business owners' expansion.
That's loans.
Loans, absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Contracting, helping small businesses compete for and win a portion of federal procurement contracts, purchase orders.
If you look at all the money the federal government is spending and thinking, boy, I'd like to tap into that.
Absolutely.
Contact your offices and they'll help you in the
Absolutely.
process.
We can help open some of those doors.
Okay.
And the 3rd C is counseling, providing trainings and workshops to really give small business owners the tools they need to thrive in the business economy.
And that's super important because businesses fail not because they don't have a great idea or a great location, but usually because of a number of things.
Right.
It only takes one of the pillars of what it takes to make a business work. Right. So that counseling is, and I understand it's really effective. And that's a good place to introduce Darrel here with mynetworkcompany.com. You've received support from the SBA counseling services, is that right?
Oh yes, it has some great, fantastic support from Green River Community College. We're working with Kirk Davis in particular. He's helped me over the last couple of years on a regular basis. We talk about well, financing, we talk about capital, we talk about contracts, we talk about HR, you know, and all kinds of different things to help you grow and manage and maintain and, you know, the future of the business and so forth.
Now, we have many community colleges that provide the Small Business Administration support. Right. Some others around here.
Right. You know, we couldn't do it without a great network of partners. In fact, in the state of Washington, we have almost 35 counseling centers.
Wow.
Usually co-located with a 2-year institution. And here in Tacoma and Pierce County, we're really lucky to have a great wraparound network. We have a small business development center at Bates Technical College, a women's business center at Clover Park Technical College in Lakewood, and a SCORE counseling chapter here in Tacoma.
SCORE meaning?
SCORE is a wonderful group of volunteers, retired executives usually, who will help you translate that great idea you've always had in your head for a business plan and actually translate that into a business plan.
No kidding.
It's wonderful services. Appointments are necessary. All you have to do is call and make an appointment. But these services really help small business owners either take the next level or someone who's always had a good idea, translate that into a business plan and launch a new business.
So that's a good segue to Darrel and his story, because you're not just any business. You were this year awarded the SBA, Small Business Administration, National Veteran Business Champion of the Year Award. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one that they gave me a little while back.
Yeah. Just one in the whole country, and it was you. So you're doing something right on a lot of levels.
Well, I think it's more like my advocacy for veterans and helping veterans get into the business market and helping them to get employed and helping them to grow their businesses. It's more about them than it is about me in particular. It's about the things that I try to do to grow other companies and so forth, because, hey, without the veterans, I mean, where would we be? I mean, think about that.
That's right, yes. And we thank them for their service. But I want to hear about what mynetworkcompany.com is so we can better understand their contributions as well.
Well, we're an IT service provider, so we're your IT shop for the small to medium-sized business, and what we do is we offer all your IT support, so you can outsource that. For, in our case, we go in, talk to somebody, and evaluate and say, well, this is what it's going to cost for us to do this on a monthly basis, and you can turn your capital expenditures into an operating expense and have that tax benefit immediately by working with us.
So if I have computers, and everyone has computers in their company, if I'm starting a company wondering how can I make this computer work best for me, and you have very limited knowledge, I can call your company, mynetworkcompany.com, and you'll come in and help me understand if I need databases, if I need a website, if I can have forms and all that kind of stuff. You make a recommendation.
What we do is we have our program called a Virtual CIO, which is a VCIO, and we talk with our customers on a routine basis. So you become your own in-house Chief Information Officer, so we call that the Virtual CIO. And we have those conversations. It doesn't cost you anything extra to have that conversation. We work with the budget and planning and implementation so that you don't have have those little gotchas that you might have if you went out and thought about it on your own and said, well, I want to put that software in. Well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? How's it going to affect it? How's it going to affect this program? How's it going to affect that program? We're going to help you work that all the way through before you ever make that purchase so that you have a smooth implementation and you use your dollars wisely.
I see. And you'll do the analysis, and then I can pay for your services on a monthly basis?
Actually, it's part of the whole thing. It's a monthly basis. Once you get into a contract with us, it's a month-to-month kind of a thing. There is no long-term contract because we're doing this on service. We want to make sure that if you're not satisfied with us, you're not going to be tied to us with some long contract that's going to make you be, well, how would I say it, that you don't want to stay with it.
Right.
So we want to make sure that you want to stay with us, so we make sure that you're not tied in.
Right.
So what we do is part of that service is give you that service with the virtual CIO.
And the flexibility.
Flexibility is there, so you want to be there, and we want you to be there.
So how many employees do you have, and how many are veterans?
We have 4 full-time employees that are locally based here, and they all work out of their homes. We also have a software development firm with 35 people employed in that.
Right.
We have a help desk that you remote into that helps you, and there are 35 employees in that. And I'd roughly say about 60% of everybody are veterans.
That's incredible. And that's the Small Business Administration also has programs support veterans. Is that right, Calvin?
Right. One of our focus is to make sure that when folks come back who've served our country honorably, that there are services and programs to help them get back on their feet. And Darrel is far too modest. I mean, as you can tell from the company, it's a phenomenal operation, doing wonderful things, but also because of his advocacy on behalf of veterans, to make sure that as folks return back to the United States, they have the support and the networks they need to thrive in this economy. And that's why, when we recognized in Washington, D.C., the best of the best, this was our National Veteran Business of the Year.
The whole country.
Of the whole country. And so he's far too modest. We're honored that he's
amazing.
Here from...
Right here in Pierce County.
Right here from our own backyard, Tacoma, Pierce County.
Fabulous.
But we do, at SBA, mentioning capital, counseling, and contracts, we have a special emphasis on the men and women who have served their country, whether it be our Patriot Express loan program to help put capital in the hands of veteran-owned small businesses, or to make sure that when Joint Base Lewis McChord is going to build a new parking lot or build a new dormitory, that veteran-owned small businesses have a chance to compete for and win those purchase orders. So at SBA, we're honored to serve the veterans who have served us.
So veterans who own businesses should take a close look at the SBA to see what kind of benefits there are there.
Whether it be one of our local centers here in Tacoma, Pierce County, or at SBA.gov, absolutely. If you're a small business owner of any type, we have services and products that can help you survive and thrive in this economy. Please let us know how we can help you.
And it sounds like, Darrel, if I understand, veterans themselves create a network that's helped you tap into that great resource of talent.
There's a lot of organizations out there that are veteran-oriented, and I try to get involved as many as possible, but, I'm only one person, so I think the local one that I think is the most important around here is the AUSA. They're very prominent around the area,
and AUSA is
Associated United States Army.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, they've got 7, 8, 9 chapters right here locally. So it's really your chapter is local. So if you can get involved with the Joint Base Lewis McChord, those folks are very strong advocates right here. But then the VFW has been very helpful to me. The Veterans Foreign Wars. Geez, there's just so many different organizations. And then, hey, even our local Elks Lodge here is all service-oriented, even in their charitable activities. So I can't speak to the number of people that are out there trying to help our veterans in this local area because we're so tied to Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Do you find that once you hire a cadre of veterans or once you tap into that community, that they help you identify other veteran employees?
Well, I think that it's there is a network of people, just like anybody else has a network and so forth. But I tell you one thing about veterans is that they have a work ethic. They will go out there. That failure is not an option. You don't go into a job and say, well, I don't think I can. This is a I can. There is no option other than success. And so they make it work, and that's what they're taught. They have a strong work ethic. They understand production. They're polite. This is just what's taught and what you learn as
basic skills
respect. And
interacting in a business and that work ethic is not always an easy thing to find these days.
no, it's not. In today's economy and today's world, it's difficult to make sure that you are meeting the expectations of your customers, and the veterans out there can help us do that in so many ways that I can't even name.
It's fabulous. So it sounds like SBA is working at all kinds of levels in this community. Do you have other stories that you can share with us?
In addition to the Patriot Express loan and some of the other programs we've discussed, the American Recovery Act, which was passed several years ago now, really gave SBA some local tools here in the Puget Sound region to help our economy recovery, in which was the worst economy since the Great Depression. In Pierce County alone, we've made about 300 SBA-backed loans with the Recovery Act. And that was anywhere from a $35,000 loan to the Northeast Tacoma Dry Cleaners to a $2 million loan at the Stadium Thriftway and everything in between. And so the Recovery Act really helped stabilize the economy. But the President's recently proposed American Jobs Act will really help accelerate that recovery. And it includes some very important tax credits that would really be aimed at our veterans as well.
That's fabulous. Now, Calvin, I know you have a long background before you came to the SBA, and I find that particularly interesting. Tell us about your background and how it applies to us locally here in Tacoma and the surrounding region.
Well, it's always good to be back home.
This is your home.
Grew up here, grew up in Pierce County, born at Good Samaritan Hospital in Puyallup. We live in Puyallup today, our family does. It's really been an honor to represent the citizens of Pierce County in varying capacities, whether it was as a fire commissioner, a state senator, or a county council member, and really had some experience with SBA in the private sector. As you know, in this state, we have a part-time legislature, and so when we weren't in session, worked for KeyBank and for the Credit Union League, and was familiar with SBA's programs. But now have really been honored to cover the 4 Northwest states for SBA.
That's your territory?
Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Alaska, to work with veterans like Darrel every day to help them survive and thrive. The President's proposed American Jobs Act, to that point, it includes several key elements for small businesses, a cutting of payroll taxes in half, but also a tax credit for small businesses that hire, with a focus on veterans.
Is that right?
Exactly. For those veterans returning home, there's a tax credit of over $5,000, and for wounded warriors, there would be a tax credit of nearly $10,000.
Wow.
The thought being that, the Recovery Act stabilized our economy, but the American Jobs Act the President has proposed really would put us on a sustainable long-term economic position. And the work that we've done with veterans, we're looking forward to doing even more.
So these programs are designed to get a response locally.
Absolutely.
And we just happen to have a CEO here who can talk about how those sort of incentives work.
Well, with those kind of dollar figures, $5,000 and $10,000, those are going to be good incentives for us to, as business owners, to say, you know what, that works for me. I'm going to go out and look for veterans. Although, in my opinion, we should be looking for veterans anyway, and we need to go out and help that population, because those folks are really, like I said before, great workers and so forth. But there's somewhere around 20% unemployed right now, and that's just just not right. Given the fact that if you look throughout our history, the entire United States of America is built on the backs of veterans. And without us, there isn't a single job, there isn't a single person, there isn't a single individual in the United States that's not affected by the services of our veterans. So we owe it to them in every way, shape, or form that we can do whatever we can do to help them in their life and to honor them for their service. And I believe that everybody, if they can't, they should figure out a way that they can help.
That's great. I agree. And it sounds like the federal government and Calvin Goings is doing their best to help with that. And right here in Pierce County, we have the largest military base in the country.
One of the largest, and one of the largest retiree populations. People love Tacoma and Pierce County in the South Sound region because of our quality of life, our great local business community, and that's why when they retire, they stay here. And so that's why we have a lot of opportunities to take those skills, those assets that those retired veterans have, and help them put our economy back on the track. And that's why companies like Darrel and the advocacy that Darrel have are so important.
So Darrel, you're located right here. You have a successful business in a tough economy, and you have a growing base and already a pattern of hiring veterans. What do you see in the future as far as your next steps in growth? And we
have a couple of businesses that we want to start up. We're looking at, I have more than one company, but mynetworkcompany.com is the primary company. They started back in 1988, and I ended up joining it in 1999 and then acquiring all of it in 2005. And over the course of time, I found that it's other areas that interest me and other places that I thought I could do well in. And so I ended up starting a construction firm, which, as you know, the economy was really tough on the construction.
Oh, yeah. But
we're always looking to grow that. We do countertops and tub surrounds and stuff like that with a manufacturing firm in Edgewood, Milton. And we have a event planning company. I call it My Other Brother Productions because, hey, I'm Darrel. And you guys get the joke, and some of those people out there won't get this joke.
It's okay.
So anyway, we have fun with that. And so we're trying to help. The other thing that I do a lot of is I help other individuals with companies because given the fact that I've been blessed with meeting a lot of folks in all these different businesses and in these business arenas, I get approached a lot with people who have great ideas, and so what I try to do is point them in directions that can help them because I can't do it all. I might give them a little bit of advice, but I have constantly sent them to the SBA and told them about the things that they've done for me and the things that locally where Bates and Clover Park and wherever the local SBA office or the SCORE can help them. Then I've done that because like Calvin, I actually was born at Madigan. Wow. And went to Parkland Elementary, Keithley Junior High, Washington, and graduated from PLU.
A great local story. National resources, focusing locally. This has been a tremendous inspirational segment for me, I'm sure for our guests too. Both of you are a dynamic duo, sending a great message. I really appreciate your time here today.
Thank you.
So thank you, Calvin and Darrel, for being on Business Matters.
Thank you.